You know that feeling? You check your bank account, the numbers look good. Actually, they look great. You've got your emergency fund stocked. You're maxing out your 401k. You haven't carried a credit card balance in years. By every financial book, every expert, every piece of advice you've ever heard, you're winning. So why? Why does Sunday night still hit different? Why does that Amazon cart feel heavier than it should? Why are you still lying awake at 2 a.m., wondering if you're one bad month away from everything falling apart? Today, we're going to talk about something nobody else is talking about: the invisible gap between being good with money and actually feeling free. Hi, I'm Daniel Brooks, and you're watching Wealthic Voyage. Today, we're diving into one of the most frustrating paradoxes in personal finance: how you can do everything right on paper and still feel completely broke in your head. And here's the thing, I'm not just going to tell you what's happening. I'm going to take you through my own story, because 3 years ago, I was exactly where you might be right now. It's 2021. I'm 29 years old. I've got a solid job making $78,000 a year. Not rich by any stretch, but comfortable. My credit score? 790. My student loans? Paid off 2 years early. I had $18,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account. I was contributing 12% to my 401k with a company match. No car payment, no credit card debt. I was even renting below my means, a modest one-bedroom for $100 in a city where most people my age were paying 1,600 plus. If you had shown my finances to any financial advisor, they would have said, "Daniel, you're crushing it." And honestly, I believed them. I followed all the rules. I read the books. I listened to the podcasts. I automated my savings. I tracked every expense. I said no to things I wanted so I could say yes to my future self. I was the person my friends came to for money advice, the responsible one, the one who had it figured out. But then, something weird started happening. I remember this one specific moment. It was a Tuesday evening in October. I'd just gotten home from work, and I was scrolling through Instagram while eating dinner alone. And I saw a post from someone I went to college with. They were on vacation in Santorini, beautiful hotel, sunset drinks. The caption said something like, "Living my best life. Grateful for the freedom to work from anywhere." Now, logically, I knew a few things. I knew that Instagram is a highlight reel. I knew that people only post their wins, not their credit card statements. I knew that vacation could have been funded by debt, or points, or who knows what. But here's what my brain did instead. Look at them. They're living. They're experiencing life. And what are you doing? Eating leftover pasta in your apartment, proud of yourself for not spending $12 on Uber Eats. And then the spiral started. Maybe I'm not as far along as I thought. Maybe everyone else figured something out that I missed. Maybe this whole responsible money thing is just slow playing myself out of actually living. That night, I opened my banking app. I looked at my $18,000 emergency fund, my growing investment accounts, my zero debt, and I felt nothing. Not pride, not security. Just this hollow ache, like I was standing outside a party everyone else seemed invited to. So what was going on? Because here's the truth. It took me another year and a half to figure this out, but I finally identified 3 invisible traps that were sabotaging me from the inside out. Trap number 1, the scarcity mindset that never turned off. See, I grew up in a household where money was always tight. Not destitute, we had food, we had shelter, but there was this constant low-level anxiety around spending. Every purchase required justification. Every want was met with, "But do you need it?" And when I started earning good money, I never turned that switch off. I was making decisions from a place of scarcity even when scarcity wasn't my reality anymore. Here's an example. One winter, my coat, the same one I'd had since college, was literally falling apart. The zipper was broken. There were holes in the lining. It wasn't keeping me warm anymore. And I still put off buying a new one for 4 months because I kept thinking, maybe I can squeeze one more season out of it. A good coat is $150, $200. That's money that could be invested. $200. I had $18,000 in savings. I was agonizing over $200 for something I needed. That's not financial responsibility. That's financial trauma dressed up as virtue. Trap number 2. I was saving for a life I wouldn't recognize. This one's harder to explain, but stay with me. I was saving aggressively, investing consistently, building wealth on paper, but I never stopped to ask myself, what am I actually building toward? I want to be financially free isn't a goal, it's a slogan. Financially free to do what? Retire at 40? Travel the world? Start a business? Buy a house? I had no idea. I was just accumulating, like a hamster on a wheel made of compound interest charts. And here's the problem with that. When you don't know what you're saving for, every dollar you spend feels like a failure. Every experience you say yes to comes with a side of guilt. You're not building a future, you're just hoarding against a fear you won't name. Trap number 3, the comparison game. I pretended I wasn't playing. Oh, I talked a big game about not caring what other people thought. I'm not materialistic. I value experiences over things. I'm playing the long game. But let's be real. I was absolutely comparing myself. I was just doing it in a way that made me feel morally superior about it. Sure, they have a nice car, but they're probably in debt. Sure, they travel, but they're not building wealth like me. I was using other people's spending as proof that I was better than them. And that's not healthy. That's just insecurity wearing a budget spreadsheet as a costume. The real wake-up call came in a conversation I didn't see coming. It was Thanksgiving 2022. I was visiting my family, and my uncle pulled me aside. Now my uncle, he's not a finance guy. He's worked construction his whole life, lives in the same house for 30 years, drives a truck with 200,000 miles on it. He looks at me and says, "You seem stressed, kid. More stressed than when you were broke." I laughed it off. "No, I'm good. Money's going well, actually." And he just nods and says, "That's not what I asked." That sentence hung in the air. That's not what I asked. He wasn't asking about my net worth. He was asking about my life, and somewhere along the way, I'd confused the two. On the drive home, I really sat with that. When was the last time I'd made a money decision based on joy instead of optimization? When was the last time I'd spent money on something meaningful without immediately calculating what it was costing my future self? I realized I'd become so focused on being good with money that I'd forgotten how to be happy with it. So what did I do? Here's what I changed, and more importantly, what actually made a difference. First, I created a joy budget, not a fun fund, not guilt-free spending money. A joy budget, money specifically allocated for things that light me up with zero justification required. For me, that's $300 a month. It covers concerts, nice dinners, random weekend trips, gifts for people I love, the occasional splurge that makes zero logical sense but makes my soul happy. Here's the key though, I don't track it, I don't optimize it, I don't feel guilty about it. It's already spent in my mind the moment it hits that category. It's the price of not being a robot. Second, I defined what enough looks like for me. I sat down with a notebook, and wrote out what my ideal life looks like in 5 years. Not vague dreams, specific details. I want to work 35-40 hours a week on projects I care about. I want to take 2 international trips a year. I want a home with a space for hosting friends. I want to never stress about a surprise $1,000 expense. Once I had that picture, I could reverse engineer what it actually costs. Turns out, it's a lot less than I thought. I didn't need millions to be free. I needed clarity. Third, I started talking about money. Honestly, this one was scary, but I started having real conversations with friends about money. Not advice giving, not flexing, just honest sharing. Hey, I'm feeling anxious about this purchase even though I can afford it. I'm jealous of your vacation and I'm working through that. I saved for 3 years for this, and now I'm scared to spend it. And you know what happened? Almost every single person responded with some version of, "Me too, I thought I was the only one." We're all walking around thinking everyone else has this figured out. They don't. They're just better at hiding it. Fourth, I stopped using responsible as a shield against living. This is the big one. I had to learn that spending money isn't the opposite of being responsible. The opposite of being responsible is being reckless, and there's a massive middle ground I'd been ignoring. Buying the coat I needed wasn't reckless. Taking the trip I'd dreamed about for years wasn't reckless. Investing in experiences and relationships and memories wasn't reckless. What was reckless was letting fear make my decisions for years while calling it wisdom. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, but what's actually happening in our brains when we feel this way? Let's get into the science for a minute, because understanding this changed everything for me. There's a concept in psychology called financial wellness versus financial health. They're not the same thing. Financial health is objective. It's your numbers, your net worth, your debt-to-income ratio, your savings rate. It can be measured, tracked, optimized. Financial wellness is subjective. It's your relationship with money, your emotions around spending and saving, your beliefs about what money means and what it should do for you. You can be financially healthy and financially unwell at the exact same time. That was me. That might be you. Research shows that people who feel financially secure report higher life satisfaction than people who are financially secure but don't feel it. In other words, the feeling matters as much as the reality, maybe more. And here's why this happens. Our brains didn't evolve for modern money. We evolved for scarcity, for survival mode, for get it while you can because winter is coming. When you combine that ancient wiring with a culture that constantly tells us we need more, do more, be more, you get a perfect storm where enough never feels like enough. Your amygdala, the threat detection part of your brain, doesn't understand compound interest or diversified portfolios. It understands safety signals, and if you've trained your brain to associate spending with danger, it will keep sounding alarms even when there's no actual threat. The good news? You can retrain it. But it takes intentional practice, not just better spreadsheets. Before we wrap up, I want to share a few stories from people in our community who've dealt with this exact thing, because sometimes hearing it from others makes it click in a new way. Sarah, 34. I was putting $2,000 a month into investments while driving a car with check engine light on for 6 months because I didn't want to waste money on repairs. I had $100K invested and couldn't bring myself to spend $800 to fix my car. That's when I knew something was wrong. Marcus, 41. My wife and I make combined $180,000. We have no debt except our mortgage, and I still panic when she comes home with bags from Target. Not because we can't afford it, but because somewhere in my head, spending equals danger. Priya, 28. I saved for 5 years to buy a home, finally bought one last year, and instead of feeling excited, I felt terrified, like now I had something to lose. It took therapy for me to realize I'd been using saving as a way to avoid ever feeling secure enough to stop. Do any of these resonate? If so, you're not broken. You're human, and you're definitely not alone. So here's where I want to land this plane, and I want you to really hear this, because it took me years to learn it. Money is not just a math problem. It's a psychology problem disguised as a math problem. You can optimize every variable. You can follow every rule. You can build a financial picture that looks perfect on paper. But if your relationship with money is rooted in fear, if you're saving because you're afraid of running out, not because you're excited about what you're building, then no amount of money will ever feel like enough. The goal isn't just to have money. The goal is to have money and the capacity to enjoy it without guilt, terror, or constant second-guessing. So here's your assignment this week. Not a financial task, but an emotional one. I want you to make one purchase or decision based entirely on joy, not logic, not optimization, not, is this the best use of resources? Just pure, unfiltered, this makes me happy joy. Buy the concert tickets, book the dinner, upgrade the thing you've been tolerating for too long. Take the day off work just because. And when the guilt creeps in, and it will, because it's been training for years, I want you to notice it, name it, and choose to let it pass anyway. Because here's the truth nobody talks about. The best financial decision you'll ever make isn't an investment or a savings rate or a debt payoff strategy. The best financial decision you'll ever make is deciding that you're allowed to be happy now, not just someday when the numbers are big enough. You've earned that, even if your brain hasn't caught up yet. If today's video hit close to home, I'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment below. What's one money decision you've been putting off because of fear, not logic? And if you found this valuable, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. We've got more conversations like this coming, because building wealth shouldn't cost you your peace of mind. Until next time, be smart with your money, but be kinder to yourself. I'll see you in the next one.